There is this great verse in the Old Testament book of Exodus that has challenged me many times when I am tempted to murmur and complain to God. And that is far more often than I would like to admit that it is. Moses and the children of Israel, they are basically stuck. They have, for the most part, left Egypt, but now they are stuck. The Red Sea is in front of them, and they have two mountains on either side of them. And the Egyptian army is now pressing in on them from behind, and they feel as though there is no hope. And that sure looked like the right assessment of the situation. And Moses goes to God, and God says to Moses, "Why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward. Stop complaining. Get up and move out. Get your coffee." I know I've talked about this before, but it has been on my mind again recently. When I met my wife, she had just started training to be a certified nurse's assistant, a CNA. She had wanted to go into nursing from the time that she was a kid in junior high school. She was a great student through high school, and then she went to a UC school for undergrad, but she had to leave the UC program in her third year because of some health problems. When I met her, she was trying to reorganize her life after coming short of her goal. She felt all kinds of guilt because she had nearly $60,000 in student loan debt and no degree to show for it. She had had to leave university to get healthy, and she did get healthy. And then she went to beauty school because a friend was doing that, and she felt like she had to do something. And so she got her cosmetology license and started working in a salon. And she hated it, not because it wasn't a potentially good job or a good job path, but because it wasn't what she wanted to do from the time that she was a child. And so she quit and she went back to school to be a CNA. And that's when I met her. But she had wanted to be a nurse, not a nurse's assistant. So as we began dating, she told me that she was going to go to nursing school. Now, at that time, this was 2006, all of the local RN programs that didn't cost a fortune had like a 3-year waiting list. So she enrolled in an LVN program at the local community college. Again, it wasn't exactly what she wanted to do, but it was the most logical step in moving toward her goal of nursing. And so she became an LVN a year and a half after we got married. And then she enrolled in the same community college's LVN to RN step-up program. And she went through that program while she was working and while we were beginning a family. In fact, I drove her to her finals at the end of her second semester for that RN program when she was in labor with our second child. That's absolutely true. She was literally in labor. I was in the car waiting for her as she finished her final, and then we drove to the hospital so that she could give birth to our daughter, Addison. And then when she was done with the RN program, she enrolled in a BSN program. This, of course, is the long path, but it was the long path to the goal that she had had. That's what she was determined to do. And if you are determined to fulfill your goal, then you do whatever you have to do. She had dropped out of an undergrad program at a UC school with $60,000 in student loan debt because she didn't really have a choice. It was either do that or basically die. But then she put herself through CNA school, and after a detour through beauty school, then she went through LVN school, RN school, BSN program, while working and while having 4 kids and while dealing with all of my craziness. And then she worked through jobs that she didn't really like, putting in dozens and dozens of applications to finally land the job that she had really worked for in the critical care unit as an ICU nurse. And she worked in the ICU for several years. And then at the beginning of 2018, she said to me, "I want to enroll in a master's program and become a nurse practitioner," because that's what she had wanted to do for more than 20 years. And that's what she did. She began that NP program in the fall of 2018. And if NP school wasn't hard enough, while working in the ICU, while raising 4 kids and being married to a pastor, then COVID hit. And her work became much more difficult. And her school schedule in the NP program slowed down to the point where it was likely that her program would be extended by a semester or more. And so she did what she always had done. She worked harder and doubled up her classes with COVID still raging. She worked overtime in the ICU and doubled up classes. She was the only person in her NP program that finished on time. She achieved her goal. And now she is working a job that most nurse practitioners would kill for. And it is because she had a goal and she was undeterred from attaining it. It was costly financially. It was costly of time and energy, and hard and painful for her and for me and for our family. Why do I bring all of this up? Because I'm a bit tired of meeting people who complain about not being in a better spot in life. They complain about not making more money or not liking their job or, but they've really done nothing to change the situation. They live passively. Life happens to them. And then they complain about what has happened. The prophet Isaiah writes, "For the Lord God will help me. Therefore I will not be humiliated. Therefore I have set my face like flint. I know that I will not be ashamed." Now this is prophetic of the Messiah. In spite of the horror of Calvary, Christ was steadfast to fulfill his intended purpose and determined to obey the Father. And from the cross, his final words were, "It is finished." That, of course, is not the final word. The resurrection followed the cross. Suffering is rarely the final note. And there are times when the path is terribly hard. But the Lord God will help you. It is God who works in you to will and to do his good pleasure. So work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Tell the children of Israel to go forward. Get up and move on. Something to think about. We'll see you next time.